meeting officials from the Ministry of Health, Interior and Transport when it comes to the coronavirus outbreak.
Gauge Railway construction site in Narok East constituency on Saturday 22nd February 2020 and have been in isolation since then. 2, could the Cabinet Secretary clarify whether the Chinese nationals were properly screened and provide the reasons why they were allowed into the country instead of being isolated in a suitable designated isolation center? And 3, what mechanisms are in place to ensure that all foreigners and visitors from China and other affected countries are properly screened where necessary isolation for the standard period in designated places being allowed entry into this country? So that was the first question that Honorable Aramat, and he's here, he's seated there, so we'll be addressing that first question when the ministry comes in. Honorable members, when the question was raised, I also brought it to the attention of the Speaker that the entry of any foreigner into this country, the Ministry of Interior and also, of course, the Department of Migration is, one of the ministries that we should also request to come. But because the member had asked for the Ministry of Health, so by then we were just to invite the Ministry of Health as directed by the Speaker. But you all know that immediately after, on the Wednesday 26th, there was a China Southern Airlines flight that was carrying 39 passengers that jetted in the country, aboard some members from the China and also some Kenyans, a few Kenyans. And so there was also concern. And so we requested when we invited the minister, then we invite the Minister of Transport also, because the issues of airline, and we've seen what is happening worldwide, is an issue also that the Ministry of Transport is also in control. And that's why today we'll be having the 3 ministers. Honorable members, there's a paper that we have given. We can go through it. So if there are any concern, some of the information there, we can be able to raise to the relevant CSs when they appear. I want to hand it over to my co-chair to also just brief us on what was the intention of the meeting of the Senate. That's why we all invited them today, same time, on a similar matter. That's why we found it important to request our speakers to have a joint sitting. Thank you.
Okay. At a sitting of the Senate on Thursday, 27th of February 2020, Senator Ladama Olekina made a statement regarding the novel coronavirus. The senator expressed concern that the South China Southern Airlines flight CZ6043 from Guangdong, the province known to be the second leading coronavirus infection zone globally, with 239 passengers on board, had been allowed to land at JKIA. So after deliberations, the Honorable Speaker directed the Chairperson of Health to issue a statement actually today on to the Senate regarding the government's preparedness to tackle coronavirus and the circumstances under which the airline was allowed to land in Kenya. There was also a request to know that we also wanted to, we would wish the Minister also to inform us today on the case in Mombasa where one suspect with coronavirus was also basically found. So we want to know how prepared the government is. We want to know what measures are being taken to ensure that Kenyans are safe. We have had questions like things to do with how people were left, or they were not quarantined. Where were they left to go? So those are the issues those are the main issues we will want to concentrate on. So I think that will be it.
I think, members, now we are well informed why we have this meeting. And I think what the chair has raised is a suspected case in Mombasa. I don't think we have any yet confirmed case in Kenya. Members, as we wait for the ministers to come, I would open it up to the members if there are issues or something that they would like to raise before the ministry comes in on how we should handle this matter.
Yeah, I just want in those questions to add you want to understand the terminology of self-quarantine. You know, it is really amazing when this virus is really killing people all over the world. And here in Kenya, we want to make it as a roller coaster. It's kids playing at the backyard, where 290 people landed in our country, and then somebody declared them that these one are fit, they can have self, which means if they go home, they are going to be themselves, or that's a question that I want to ask. And if there's a new definition of self-quarantine, I've never had that.
Maybe the doctor is present. You are just sitting next to a doctor who can explain to us what is self-quarantine. Honorable Mishra.
Before I answer that, first of all, I congratulate both houses to do this great effort. It will be historical. And also, in future, we should sit again to manage crises like corruption and other. We should fight together. Thank you. Now, this thing is, this virus, today, nobody knows it's man-made or it's natural. So it is very little, as far as our knowledge is concerned, known about it. See, China is saying 14 days quarantine. When the virus is airborne, it stays active as far as viral component is concerned, 14 days. But as far as America is concerned, it is 21 days. Yesterday we got the news from India. The Pune Institute of Viral Technology, that is the best institute in Asia and one of the top in the world, has discovered it is 17 days. So unless otherwise, very little is known about the virology, the pathogenesis, the pathology, all these details, we have to go into detail. So unless Kenya will call an international technical forum in collaborative way to exchange the knowledge, experience and exposure, we have different countries in the world, we will struggle a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. There were also reports of suspected cases in Kitui County. So we'd like to know if the ministry is aware and if the court order to look for the 239 also includes looking for the ones in Kitui and Narok, as asked by the MP for Narok East. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, for giving me this chance. And I'm also going to add a question where the whistleblowers are being reprimanded. Are we not allowed to say if someone is suffered or got the symptoms? Are we not allowed to mention it? Why is the whistleblowers being reprimanded? Thank you.
Honorable Koros.
Thank you, Chair. Mine is just a brief. Is there also a way we can remind the ministers to have all these Chinese who came recently from China? Can we put them in one place so that it will be easy for the government to monitor them, other than us saying that they are self quarantine? I think we need to review this thing of self-quarantine.
Thank you, Chair. When these Chinese arrived to the airport, they took some vehicles to Cambodia. And the people who are driving those vehicles are Kenyans. Are they not exposed to risk? Are they not supposed to be put also in quarantine? Chair, the second question that is not in my initial question, is that the people who feed those Chinese while at quarantine, how are they not exposed? Thank you, Chair.
Maybe Honorable Ramat, you would have taken this chance to just inform the members of that specific case of Dukamoja, because we are not fully aware of the whole incident or what happened.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Ken Ramat, MP for Narok East. I come from Narok East, and especially where these people are said to be. It's Section 5 is a construction site in Narok East for the SGR railway station. It's basically next to the hill while going to Narok. This Chinese happens to come to Narok from China. That was on 22nd. We were informed that they were isolated or put into quarantine the same day. And the people who feed are Kenyans, and they say they leave some food about 10 meters or 20 meters from where they are, and then they come and pick the foods. They also say they burn those utensils that they use. And these Chinese have been confirmed that Section 5, which is a very huge construction site, is where they use all Chinese in who works at CCC. It's called CCC, Chinese Construction Company. It's where they keep all of them, because we sent some reporters there, and they got some details that those Chinese are kept, not only the 8, but whoever comes to China who works along the railway line is kept at Suswa. And it's actually tragic because people are exposed. We don't know whether they are sick or they are not sick. And I think we are putting this country at risk. As a nation, we are so careless at what we are doing here.
So can you confirm to the members, is it self-quarantine or it's the government that is quarantined?
Is the Chinese, the company, the CC, it's a Chinese construction company, yeah, the bridge and bridges company that construct the railway that keeps those Chinese there, not the government.
Okay. Honorable Chairman.
Thank you, Chair. I'm also concerned that currently we have over 60 countries which have signs and symptoms of this disease. And we are focusing so much on China flights. What happens with the rest of the flights from these other places that we already have cases? Because that's also something we need to discuss. The other big, Chair, is now when people are coming to this country, or when we are checking at the port of entry, we check on temperatures, believing that from the temperatures is what we can actually insinuate that this person could be sick. But there's also a probability through the medical field that when somebody wants to get out of exile, can take some paracetamols and even some antibiotics to lower their temperatures and make their body a bit comfortable, stable, so that by the time you're checking on temperature, the temperatures are low. And then the disease erupts within. That's something, again, we need. It's technical. We need to understand. The last one, Chair, is this. We have our students back in China. We would want to know, through formal information through the ministry, how many are these students there? Are all of them healthy? Are some of them infected? Those ones who could be infected, are they still alive or they are succumbed? So that the full report is with their parents and even us as Kenyans and the legislators of this country. Thank you.
I guess, Honorable, we should also ask when will they ever come home? If you're allowing foreigners to come, then are there any plans to have the students come home and maybe get the isolation here? Honorable Professor Mohammed.
Thank you very much, Chair. My position is about joint force that works together. These are multifaceted units. What I mean by that is that we've got the transport, we've got health, and we've got foreign affairs. All these are institutions that need to work hand in hand. I do wonder whether there is a joint force that is in place, and whether that joint force is comprising of professionals, people who are technocrats, not necessarily political background or people who have been appointed on the basis of political mandates. But what I really want to see is that we have got, technocrats that are unified on this, and they've got a joint force on that matter. So my question will mainly be relying partly on that. My other question will be also going towards the issue of, awareness. How much information is the community getting? Is our country, men and women, getting based on the happenings and what is really surrounding it? So that's basically where I will be heading at, and I really want to see that questions pertaining to those are looked at.
Thank you. Before I give the other members, we have already gotten people from the Ministry of Transport. We are waiting for the Ministry of Health and the Interior. So whoever comes first will start our meeting. Interior? Okay. Ministry of Health? Not yet. Transport? So kindly, if you're representing the ministry, take the front seat. So then we are only waiting for the Ministry of Health to start. But Honorable Professor Mahmoud, I guess you're already aware that Friday there was a task force formed.
Point of order, Chair.
Point of order. Yes.
Can we introduce ourselves because we don't know who are they, on what capacity? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Point of order, Chair.
Yes.
And I want to stand guided, but we are in a very serious meeting that we really want answers from the cabinet secretaries themselves. I don't know, we need to be introduced to who the people have come before us today, because this one, to have a joint sitting for both houses, we need serious faces. I know you are serious, yes, but the people who are concerned directly. Chair, I stand guided.
So members, we can give them a few minutes so that we get everybody and they can introduce themselves and know whether they are waiting for somebody else to come or what position we are at. But I was just telling Honorable Professor Mohammed, you know, there was a the National Emergency Response Committee on Coronavirus that was formed on Friday.
Certainly, yes. There is a gazettement, I've seen that.
Yes.
But they are not technocrats. That's the point I'm
The question is whether they have technocrats working under them.
Who are they and what are their, relationship that they are building in between?
Allow me first to give Senator Beth Mugo.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to mine this kind of information. We had this kind of scare before in the ministry with my peers. It used to be my permanent secretary, Dr. Misia. And how we had, this was the swine flu, which of course had come also from the same area. But our worry at that time was we had students, about 30 students or so, in Kisumu. And I traveled there personally. And we organized for them to have the supplies and not to come out of the hotel where they were. And then we also organized, because the village they had come from in England was said that in that area there was swine flu. And there was police escort from Kisumu all the way to the airport, and they were put on the plane. Just to, not that they were sick, we did not know whether they had the disease or not, although they were checked. The point I'm trying to say is this quarantine. I don't think it would work. It wouldn't work even for us. If you're told to self-quarantine yourself, there will be some need to say, oh, let me go and get this and then I'll come back. I think the ministry should really explain to us about this self-quarantine, because this disease, how we argued at that time, is that we should keep this disease out as much as possible, not to risk it coming to Kenya. And I still feel, having been a Minister of Public Health before and having an idea of what we have and what we didn't have, unless there are very big changes, I don't think the country we are really ready. We have the capacity if we had this kind of outbreak in this country. So I think we should put all the effort to keep the disease out. And the only way we can keep this the coronavirus out is really being extremely careful with how we handle quarantine and who we should admit and when we should say no, please don't come in. Because I think it's such a big thing that I doubt we are ready to handle. And yeah, one thing to add. We had one case which we were told that somebody had come and noticed that. And we even followed that one. One person, not even a group of 200 or something. So my point here is that I am worried about self-quarantine, and I think we should get very good explanation on that. And we should should not shy in crossing somebody out if we feel it's not safe.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Mugeni, I'll come to you, Senior.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, mine is to ask how exposed, the people in the medical field are, or those who are doing the screening at the airport. Because what I'm seeing on social media is that out there, the people who are doing screening are dressed in some combat gear. But in Kenya, I'm just seeing people with some masks. So are we exposing these people to the risk of contracting this disease? Can the ministry maybe assure us that they will get gadgets that don't expose people in the medical field or those who are doing the screening at the airport? Then number two, the case we had in Cameroon, I'm told it is somebody who traveled to some country in Europe, then he contracted the disease and traveled back to the country. What measures are we put in place for our own people? Forget the Chinese, the Kenyans who may be traveling to China through Ethiopian airline, they reach there, do their purchases, and then come back to their country. Are we also monitoring these people and screening them as they come back and quarantining them? Because it's not about Chinese only. 3. Now, in Europe, I understand the other hotspot for this virus is Italy. And we have Air Italia that flies to Mombasa with the tourists, I think 3 times a week. We have stopped China Southern. What about the tourist planes that directly land in Mombasa? And maybe the ships that dock there with tourists? What measures have we put in place? Finally, Chair, a High Court judge issued an order for the 273 passengers who are in the southern China plane to be arrested and quarantined in a military facility somewhere. Has that order been complied with? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Allow me to give it to Dr. Nikau, because I can see the ministry has come, so that then there's another from Narok. So those two, Honorable Jagago, just maybe briefly, so that then we can know who we have. Remember, we're waiting to know who have come, introduce ourselves, the meeting and officially open. And then we can now decide whether to proceed or not to proceed. Honorable Nikau.
Chair, I think now that some of the people are here, I think I would expect those who are here to actually take this point. Otherwise, we'll have to repeat ourselves. Chair, what we're dealing with is a pandemic. It's not a disease in China. It's not a disease in China. It may have started in China, but now it's a pandemic. Pandemic means it is the whole world is affected. And this is not the first threat of pandemic we have had. In fact, the latest, the swine one, was just as a limited one, but we had the bird flu pandemic. And what happened at that time, we had a national pandemic preparedness and response team. What I want to know, do we have one here? When was it put in place? Who are the members? And what is its role? Has it got a pandemic preparedness plan, which includes financing? Because if we get to that level, I'm not even sure our finances will be adequate. So is that level of preparedness there? 2, what is the collaboration framework? Because if you are dealing with a pandemic, you are not only talking of the situation in your country, the situation in other countries will affect you as well. So you must have an international collaboration in place. Mostly it is organized through the WHO. But I think in this particular situation, Africa must be extremely careful, because our infrastructure system is such that we may not be able to handle this. So is there any inter-African collaboration, probably through the regional WHO office in Brazzaville, that is checking what is actually happening across?
Members of the National Assembly Health Committee asking pertinent questions on preparedness when it comes to the government's preparedness